Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you can join me again here. Today we've got something real special, and this is one that I know has not been released in the US ever, and something that a lot of you probably have forgotten about if you're around the same age as me. This is one of those shows that once it went off the air, we've never heard of anything about since, until now. So today we're going to be deep diving into and doing a review on Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories, the complete series on Blu Ray. This is season 1 and season 2. So we're going to be going into both of these on what make these special, what's included in them. I'm going to give you my opinions on what they are, but this is something very unique because we've never actually gotten these even on DVD. Season 2 has never even been released in the US on DVD. So there's a lot of interesting things about these that I'm going to break down and go into, and they're pretty exciting releases and something you're going to want to add to your collection after you watch this. So make sure you stick around here as we go through this. To start off with, I'm going to talk just a little bit about the releases that came out in the US so you understand kind of the history behind this. So in the US, the only thing we ever got was on VHS. They released some of the episodes on single VHSs because they were kind of like mini movies. And the series itself, in case you don't know anything about it, it's called Amazing Stories. We're not talking about the rebooted series that's on, I think it's on Apple TV or something that lasted for one season. This is not. This is the original 1985 to 1987 TV series that was created by Steven Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy and things like that. But Steven Spielberg was actually who was listed on the cases, and it was Steven Spielberg Presents The Amazing Stories. Now, Amazing Stories, the interesting thing behind it was Steven Spielberg had the idea from an original, basically it was a magazine from the 1930s called Amazing Stories, and they actually leased the name and licensed the name from that magazine. And they were stories that were like an anthology series. So it very heavily was a more modernized, in my opinion, kind of like Twilight Zone. You never knew what to expect from it. And here's the type of stories you're going to find in this series. If you don't remember it very well or you haven't seen it, there was things like action, adventure, romance, horror, thriller, war movies, sci-fi, fantasy elements, you had historical. There were so many different episodes of so many different things, and each one was filmed like a mini movie. And if you love things, especially movies or TV shows from the 80s, this series was great. Now, it did get nominated for 12 Emmys, and the funny thing about it is it only lasted for 45 episodes, but because it's like an anthology series, there is some really, really great content in these. And I always liked this series. I was always disappointed when it went off the air, and my parents actually liked it as well. And then you kind of never heard of it. There were some VHSs, and in the US for a short time period, back early 2000, there was season 1, a partial season 1 DVD release, and that was it. They never released any more of it. You never got the rest of season 1. They never released season 2, and it disappeared. This has been something that was released obviously in another country. In case you haven't noticed by the title on it, it's a release in another country. And it's on Blu Ray, the entire series, in 2 separate sets. So when you buy season 1 and season 2, you end up with the whole series when you have them both together. And what's interesting about the series itself is because it was never released on DVD in the US, the whole series anyways, this is the only way to own it in the US other than one release that came out in Australia several years back on DVD. I don't own those. I didn't import them because when I found out I could get it on Blu-ray and that the Blu-ray had the same content as what was on the DVDs but on Blu-rays, I would much rather have it on Blu-ray, and they're around almost the same price. So therefore, to me, there was a no-brainer. I was going to buy these on Blu-ray and not even waste my time on a DVD because of shelf space and everything else. And I'll get into that a little bit more here. But so this set is the only way in the US, if you want the entire series, this or importing the Australian DVDs, which if you're going to get a set anyways, which I will have in the description section below, it is available through Amazon US, which I will have the links down below so that way you don't have to go look for it because it is in the German language, the title of it. That's how I had to find it to get it to pull up. But it is available, and I'll have those links down there so that way you don't have to go search for them. They will be down there so you can easily just open the description section up, go down in there, and they'll have each one listed out. And as far as the price goes on these, just to give you an idea, it's pretty darn good. You're looking at about 20-something for each one. I think they're 27 and 25 or 27 and 29. So not very much for each season. And to me, it's a heck of a deal considering what you get. I did want to kind of cover a couple of things when I was talking about the series, though. For those of you that don't know much about an anthology series, this was an 80s anthology series that every episode had different actors, different directors, different music. Now, John Williams did do primarily a lot of the music in this, but there's about, I'd say, another 20, 30 other composers that are well known that did the music throughout the series, and it's great. If you love Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Back to the Future, Gremlins, I mean, this series, because Steven Spielberg and a lot of these directors from that era, and that's something that a lot of people don't know about as well, is Steven Spielberg directed at least 2 of the episodes in here, Ghost Train and Mission, which on Mission is one of my favorite Steven Spielberg movies, I guess you could call it. Each episode in here would range between 30 to like 45 minutes, but Mission, which is a World War II episode that he did, which is very, very, very harkens to his work on Saving Private Ryan, which is my favorite Steven Spielberg movie of all time. And anyhow, he did this obviously years before Saving Private Ryan, and I kind of look at it as a piece that's kind of attached to Saving Private Ryan, where he got his work in, kind of more of a gritty World War II story, and it's great, it's in here, but it's actually an extended episode. It's over an hour long, and that was something unique for the series because it kept everything right around the 30 to 45 minute mark for each episode, but that one is a little over an hour, and that is included in the series as well. And I loved that because you never knew what you were getting each week. And each story, you might have one you loved, one maybe you didn't like as much, but overall the series over 45 episodes, going back and watching it now as an adult, there was some really great writing, and they're like mini movies is the way I look at it is. Each series has its own set of mini movies in it that literally you can sit down and watch, and they were well done, and I really enjoyed it. Now, the new series that's been rebooted, I haven't seen it, but I've heard it was nothing near as good as the content of the original series that they did. So if you like Steven Spielberg or a lot of these older 80s directors and older 80s shows and movies, you're going to love this series. It's absolutely great. Now, something I did want to point out that a lot of people don't know about is every episode had guest actors and directors in it, and a lot of people weren't aware of all the people that actually starred in it or directed. And there's a lot of directors I wanted to highlight here because they have some really good work throughout this 2 seasons of series. And there's some great writing, but some of these directors are some of my favorite directors. For example, a lot of people didn't know that Martin Scorsese directed episodes in this. Obviously, you have Steven Spielberg directed episodes, Robert Zemeckis directed episodes, you had Clint Eastwood directed episodes. You also had Danny DeVito. He not only was in it, but also directed episodes. And then Brad Bird. And a lot of people don't know this, but Brad Bird actually helped produce the show as well. And Brad Bird's popular for doing Iron Giant, which is one of my all-time favorite animated movies. And he did The Incredibles for Pixar and numerous other things he's written and directed. So a lot of great directors and writers actually helped create this series, write episodes, direct episodes, and there is so many known actors in this series, I can't even list them all off. And I'll give you just an idea of some of the actors in this series, and as I've been talking, I've been showing some screenshots up here of some of the little screenshots from the show, and hopefully highlighting here, obviously, for some of you that recognize some of these actors, but I just wanted to give a quick rundown. I couldn't remember them all, so I kind of pulled up a list to kind of give you just an idea of some of these great actors that are in this series, so you kind of get an idea of how like monumental and epic this series was. So it had actors like Kiefer Sutherland, it had Charlie Sheen, Tim Robbins, John Lithgow, Kevin Costner, and that's just to name a few of the big actors that are in here. There are so many that I couldn't even list them all off. I just tried to list off a few real quick, and there's dozens. And every episode, you get something new as a mini movie, and I loved it. So we'll get in here into this box set now that we've kind of covered a little bit about the series here. Now, I will touch on this, that during the series time, it did end after the 2nd season, and Steven Spielberg was upset that it did end because he did love making the series, and he thought it was going to continue on. The interesting thing is a lot of people don't know this, that he loved it so much there was unwritten episodes that weren't finished that he then went on and took them and made some of them into movies. For example, Batteries Not Included was an episode of Amazing Stories that was supposed to be released in season 3 that was written for it that never got produced after the show got canceled. So he went and made it with another director and produced it and made it into a full-length movie. They say that there were several of the episodes that were supposed to be made in Amazing Stories, just like Batteries Not Included, that he actually took and made into several movies. But this is one of them that's well known, that was actually an episode of Amazing Stories that most people don't know about. And I'll put the link for this down in the description section below as well. But if you're wanting to get the series of Amazing Stories, you need to get batteries included because it is such a direct spin-off of this show. It was written actually for the show. So a little bit of hidden information that some people weren't even aware of and didn't know, but this is actually an episode from Amazing Stories that ended up being made into a movie. So if you want to get the whole series, I suggest getting batteries not included plus these two. So I'll have it down in the description below, the link for this as well. But that's just a little bit of hidden tidbit of information that some people weren't aware of. So going into these sets themselves, as you can see, it says Blu Ray on top. Now it does say Steven Spielberg in English, but this release does not have the actual Amazing Stories in English on the front other than underneath it. And I'll have the picture up here above for you to see that it does say Amazing Stories in English underneath it, but the actual main title is in German. Now, this was originally an import. Now it's available, obviously, in these cases, just like it is available at Amazon US. Like I said, in the description section below, I'll have those links. But on these, it does say on the side, obviously, SD on Blu-ray. It does have Season 1 and Season 2 listed on it with a picture from each. Universal's logo on this is because these are official Universal licensed releases and Blu-ray. Now, we'll go in here in Season 1 just for a second here before we go into Season 2. Once you open this up, it's pretty simple. You open it up here, and it lists off on the inside of the cover with little poster arts. Now, what's funny is the poster arts it has in here are from the VHS releases. Remember I said that the only releases that had really been done before, like even in the US, was individual like VHSs where they would release like an episode because it was like a movie on VHS. It's the same thing. So they kind of put in there to harken to that. These are the VHS covers, which I thought was great that they included some of those in there. I like little pieces of film history like that, as most of you know. Then it talks about each episode. It talks about when the episode aired originally, and then it tells you the name in English of the episode next to the German title. So again, this is another release that they know that folks just like me in the US that have never been able to own this before, now we can. This series has not been done a full remaster, and that's simply because it was filmed and then finished on video. So what that means is they're saying the SD content of this is the highest quality that is available. So I'm thankful it exists, and as you're probably seeing through some of the screenshots I've been showing you, and then I'm going to talk about a little bit later, it does look decent for a kind of upscale DVD release on Blu-ray is kind of how I look at it. But because this has never been released, I'm thrilled to be able to own this and actually have this in my collection because can't get it anywhere else, and it's not available in any other content except for like a DVD, which isn't as nice of a packaging or what you get as this Blu-ray release. So it does list off here every one of them with the original air dates. Then it lists off in German and then in English, telling you what the episode title is, which I really like that. So it tells you each part of the episode. So like, for example, the episode I love, which is one of my personal favorite episodes in the series with Kevin Costner. He's phenomenal in it, and obviously Steven Spielberg directs it. One of my favorite directors is The Mission, Part 1, Part 2, which I said, because it goes together, it ended up being a way longer episode, like a movie about World War II. And when you watch that, if you love war movies or you love Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan, man, that episode, I mean, it hits home. It feels like it could have been in the same world as Saving Private Ryan. And I mean, he did a great job with it. So, but it lists all those off on it. And then behind the disc here, it does the same thing. And I won't take the disc out because I don't want to drop it while I'm trying to show you. But it lists off the rest of the episodes on the back side as well. Does have one disc in it. So all of the season 1 is contained in one disc. Now, they did not overcompress this release because it's standard definition. That's slightly, they've done some slight tweaking to make it look a little bit better because it was never released originally on DVD, because technology is better now, and obviously it's a Blu-ray. It kind of like opened it up so it could breathe a little more. What that means is basically it's still going to be SD that your Blu-ray player and TV are upscaling to look better, which if you have a modern TV and a modern Blu-ray player, when it starts to upscale it, it does a decent job and makes it look pretty decent. So I was appreciative of that, and it is all on one disc, and because there's plenty of room on a dual layer Blu-ray, it all fit on here without them having to compress anything. So I thought it looked pretty decent. I mean, over a DVD, I'd say it looked, for the time period and what DVDs I own that are filmed from shows at that time period, I'd probably say this looks anywhere between 10 to maybe 15% better than a DVD release around that same time period. But because there is no US DVD release to compare this to, this is really the only way to get it and own it all on Blu-ray anyway. So there's not anything to compare it to, and I'm thankful it's even released because These are limited edition releases, is my understanding. And there's actually another series that I had filmed a review for that I actually did right before this. And I went to post it. I had gone through half of it, done all the special effects and the editing and everything else to make it so it was something for y'all to watch, and found out that series is out of print. So I had to start from scratch again, so I had actually gotten this in, and this was going to be one later on, so I decided to film this. But something I am going to bring up right now, if you want me to go and release that review, even though that review I did is out of print and it was a limited edition and it's not available anymore, if you want me to release that review so you can watch it anyways, please let me know in the comments below. I know I asked before about the Stargate universe. You guys let me know about that, so I ordered that, and that's coming up here, and there's going to be very soon once it arrives. And then I'm going to do that one. But if you're wanting me to release that other review that I did, even though it's not available technically for you to buy unless you find somebody used selling it, I can release it. It's filmed. I just had to finish editing the last part of it. But I didn't know if you guys would want to see something that it's not available to buy anymore. And it's of another TV series that I was excited to own. So if you want me to release it, let me know in the comments below when you're posting down there if you want me to actually release that review for you guys to watch. And I'll do it kind of as something special, throw it out there for you guys to watch as well. But going back into this, so you got your one disc inside. On the back, it's obviously got some English and German. It's got some of the pictures on it. Kevin Costner's obviously on it. Harvey Keitel's on it. I mean, there's just so many. Tobe Hopper's in this series. I mean, there's just, I can't even go through the amount of actors in this. It includes all 25 season 1 episodes in this. There is no extra special features. It's solely the episodes, which I'm fine with because, again, this has never been released. So I was more than fine with that. It is in 4:3. If you've probably noticed up above, it's going to have the bars on the side of your screen with the image in the middle, just like the original tube TVs were. It's not widescreen. They didn't do anything to mess with the image either. So if any of you remember and ever got the original couple episodes that were released on DVD originally, they never released the whole series, but there was a couple episodes. They tried to widen it to widescreen. And if you've ever seen when they take a 4:3 picture and like literally stretch it out for widescreen, everybody's faces get really like distorted and everything's stretched in a weird way. I don't like that at all. I would rather them leave it the original 4:3 and not stretch it out weirdly to fit the widescreen TV where it wasn't filmed to be that way. So they left it that way in this release as well as in season 2. So both of these are 4:3, so they didn't mess with that at all, which I did appreciate. I'm big on leaving the content the way it was without trying to stretch it out to oddly make it fit a widescreen TV. So it is 4:3 in both season 1 and 2. That's identical. Now, on both of these, which I'll get into season 2 in a second, but I do want to touch on the audio on both. They are both in English and in German, so you can choose either audio option in either 2.0, which is 2.0 stereo, or you have the choice of Dolby Digital 5.1 surround. And that is where I feel that this set is great. My understanding is the only other DVD set that was in Australia that I talked about earlier did not have the 5.1 Dolby Digital surround sound option on it. These do. So you have an option of 2.0 stereo or the Dolby Digital 5.1 on this, which to me makes this set even a better upgrade than anything you're going to get on the DVDs anyways. So I was excited about that. Now, other than that, it does go through telling you that it is Region B locked. Got something exciting for all of you, and I was thrilled when I found this out because I know a lot of you look forward to finding out if something's region free or region locked. These both are region free. Season 1, Season 2, region free. You buy these, you pop these into your Blu Ray player. You don't need any special coding, any special software. They're going to play just like any other Blu Ray you got. They are region free releases, even though they say region B on the back. That is incorrect. I checked them on all my region players. They played in every single one. C, B, A, didn't matter. There was no region locking. They played perfectly fine. So what that means to you is you buy these, you pop these in, you watch them, and you enjoy them. So that's a big deal for these releases, especially because of the fact of you've got them each on one disc. Now, I'll go in here into the Season 2 disc here for a second. So I showed you front cover, same thing. Amazing Stories is in English here. Same thing on the side I showed you before. It's got pictures on the back, and this is where I kind of said, you never know what you're getting each week. If you're a horror fan, or you're a sci-fi fan, or you're a thriller fan, or a romance, or drama, or western, over 45 episodes, and I hate to call them episodes because to me they're mini movies. Over 45 mini movies is really how I feel this series was. you get everything. And so there's really just, it's got so much. You might not like one episode, love the next one. It's so worth the money for this series because it was so well done that I wish it would have continued. And I think it just, people weren't ready for an anthology series back in the 80s. I know I loved it and my parents loved it growing up, but I feel like a lot of people didn't, which is why it got canceled, because they didn't understand that it wasn't supposed to be an ongoing story about the same people. It was supposed to be mini movies every week that were just supervised by Steven Spielberg to make sure the quality was, a mini movie. So season 2 has all 22 episodes. Now it does list off on here Robert Zemeckis, Danny DeVito, Brad Bird, Tobe Hopper, Joe Dante, Carrie Fisher, Christopher Lloyd, Patrick Swayze, Christina Applegate, David Carradine, and that's just to give you an example of some of them. So I'm just listing off some of them. And it did have some animated content in it as well, which is a very unique thing. So anyhow, same thing, 2.0 stereo, 5.1 surround sound, both English, German, you choose your audio option. And I'll show you up here the menu. The menu is the same on both season 1 and season 2. They produced them, it seems like, at the same time to match, which I'm more than fine with. It's easy to navigate. You have the option, which is obviously to play all, which is, and I'm probably butchering the German word, but it's all abspielen, if I remember correctly, is how it's said. But anyhow, that's the option to just play all the episodes, or you can select each episode individually. On that menu, though, it does have the episodes listed in German. Inside, like I was talking about before, just like in season 2 here, inside it does have the English for each episode. So if you're going through and on that episode list, you want to know what the name of the episode was, you can simply, if you don't want to look it up, you can just open your case and it tells you what the English name for each episode is, if you're picking one episode at a time. Otherwise, you can play all, and you can choose English or German, it plays it all, and then once the episode's playing, if you need to change the audio option, you can do that, obviously, in the menu of changing the audio option. But it lets you just choose it from the main menu, because they knew folks like myself in the USA that have never had this release ever released of this great American USA show, wanted to import it and own it. So it's available now to own, which is exciting. But the options for the audio, you just choose there and it plays them all in English or German, whatever you want from then on. So going here obviously into season 2. Season 2 is one disc again, not over compressed because of the Blu Ray. There was plenty of room. Again, all the episode titles, original air dates is listed here with some of the VHS covers of the original VHS covers. The VHS covers that they had in Germany, though, they did have the German words on them, but they were similar to the US covers. So I like that. And then behind this disc, it has the same thing where it shows the rest of the episode titles listed. So very simple cases. I like the cases. They're small Blu-ray cases, about the size of a standard Blu-ray case you're going to get for a whole season of TV is incredible. So when you put them together, you got both seasons and you're looking at 2 Blu-rays on your shelf. No big DVD cases like the DVDs that were released in Australia that I was looking at. They were huge cases and each had 4 or 5 or 6 DVDs in it, so you had big cases. Nope, it's all contained in these very nicely with the nice audio options. Now, this is something, as I said, it is SD on Blu-ray, and I kind of talked about this a little bit before. Picture quality is about a 10 at most to maybe 15% with audio quality upgrade over what I think you would have if it would have been released on DVD in the US as a standard DVD release. Only because with a Blu-ray, they're able to put more, like I said, make the content breathe a little more. There's no compression. They don't shove too many episodes. Kind of like I've talked about before with some Mill Creek DVD and Blu-ray releases. Mill Creek has been notorious for, to save money, they'll shove more episodes on a Blu-ray disc to try to get as much as they can on that disc to save them maybe printing an extra disc. And that's where, like on a DVD or something like that, that compresses it. When you put even a DVD quality content onto a Blu-ray, as long as you don't stick too much on it, it doesn't compress it down so hard. So without going too deep into everything having to do with Blu-rays versus DVDs, they do look pretty decent. Now, they're not going to be a remaster. Remember, this is not a remaster. And as far as I know, because the new series that was on Apple TV, I guess, the streaming service, it got canceled. There's not going to be any remaster for these or anything because they're released on video and finished on video, the original series. They said that this is probably ever going to be it. There hasn't been anything in years. And these did come out, I guess, 2 years ago or so. And I just happened to find out about them here a little while ago. And so that's why I ordered them for the channel to go over this. And I was really excited once I found out about it. And they're really good. I suggest picking them up. I enjoyed watching them. I love the show. And if you're a fan of anything 80s, if you like any 80s Steven Spielberg movies, Joe Dante, I mean, Martin Scorsese, any of those actors, directors that I talked about, you're going to want to pick this series up, especially for the price. I think you're looking at in the $20 range for each season on Blu-ray, and then you have them on Blu-ray, and I think it's well worth it. So as far as the series review score goes, because I did love the series, and I already love Steven Spielberg, and I love Kevin Costner, I love so much about the 80s, I'm a little tainted just because I loved the series in and of itself, but I always try to be honest and upfront with my review score. I wish it would have been remastered completely on Blu-ray. It's not. It's an SD slight upscale on Blu-ray is what I would call it. Not a ton of an upscale. Don't assume it's going to be this gorgeous. It looks decent. It's got natural film grain. You're going to notice it, and it looks decent. But it is still SD content on Blu-ray. But it's the only way we can get this. And I'm excited about it. I think it's great. I think you should support it. As far as the review score goes for this set, it's going to get an 8.1. And that's both season 1 and 2. Season 1 and 2, the quality between them is identical. Every episode looked very similar between season 1 and season 2 as I'm going along. And I've been showing you screenshots as we've been going along, spread out between season 1 and 2. And they looked identical. Audio sounded the same. Audio was crisp. Audio was clear. Music sounded beautiful on it. I really didn't have anything to complain about the audio at all. I thought the 5.1 on it was great and an upgrade. So I did like that. As far as the content goes, I love the show already. It's just, I wish it would have gotten, like I said, a full remaster. But because this is the only way to own this, and it was never even released on DVD in the US, I'm glad to own both seasons of this classic show. And I highly recommend the show. So 8.1, don't take it as that I didn't like the show. I did. I love the show. It's just that because they didn't remaster the whole thing, and maybe they really can't, I still had to ding it some points for that because of that. But 8.1, it's a recommended release. I suggest picking it up, especially for the cost of getting both seasons of basically mini movies. And if you like series like Twilight Zone or any of those anthology series, Night Gallery, or, I mean, obviously the new Amazing Stories, which doesn't hold a candle, is my understanding, to the original, which is what we're talking about here, I suggest picking it up, especially if you like any of those actors and directors. I loved this series. Let me know if you want me to release that other review I was talking about as well. It's another release by the same company that did this. And again, I was really excited about it. I spent a lot of time working on it. It's hard because I have enough time to do one review a week usually. So I ended up having to film 2 of these. I ended up having to come back and do another one after I found out I'd done all that work on that other one. I was disappointed because I was excited for all of you because it was a release I was really excited about. So let me know if you want me to release that one too. I know some of you might be disappointed because it's not available, or you got to find it from somebody that maybe is reselling their copy, but I couldn't find it, and so that's when I found out it was out of print because it was a limited edition release. So let me know in the comments below if you want me to release that video on the channel anyways. That way you can at least watch it and keep an eye out and see if you can find one. But let me know. Make sure you let me know in the comment if you want me to release that, because that'll kind of determine if I'm going to release that video or not. But this release, let me know if you've seen the show. If you like the show and if you're going to pick this up. I definitely think, because we've never had this released in the US, it's worth picking up. And again, that description section right down below this video, I will have both of these linked out in the description section below this video. That way you can go out there and purchase them. And with shipping and everything, like I said, it's a very, very well-priced release. So let me know if you're excited about this release and if you're going to pick this one up on Blu-ray, if it's something you knew about or you didn't know about. So please make sure to like this video. Give this video a thumbs up for me. Click the subscribe button down below and the bell notification right next to it. That way you get notified whenever I bring out new content and new releases. And I will have everything that I talked about today, including the batteries not included Blu-ray, listed down in the description section below this video. That way it's easy for you to go out and click and buy it. And that way you can collect this set as well, because I think you're going to really be surprised and enjoy this, especially if you like 80s movies, TV shows. This series was great. So I'll have that listed down below. I hope all of you have had a fun time today. I enjoyed doing this one. And as always, have a blessed day, and I look forward to the time we get to spend together again soon.